My next face-off claim is Donald Trump wishes he could be a dictator.
Okay, I mean, he has a lot of power right now, leader of the free world, so why is he not doing it? Why, when people are going and attempting to assassinate him, rioting on the streets, why is he not banning people, kicking them out of the country? I don't know. Why isn't he more of a dictator? I feel like he has the power. He should.
Well, it's funny that you make that point, because I'd actually argue that he has tried to position himself above the law, above the Constitution, above Congress even. And I think that there's a great argument that I could give you to demonstrate how that's the case. So in the last year and a couple months, that's how long he's been president, I believe that he's infringed upon Article 1 of the Constitution, Article 2 of the Constitution, then Amendment 1, 2, 5, 4, 10, 14, and 22. And we could go through that now, because if that's all true, then I think you'll kind of see some credibility in my claim about how he wants to position himself as a dictator, above laws, above the Constitution, above Congress, yada, yada, yada. So let's start with the amendments that he's infringed on. I think that he served as a threat to the First Amendment when he suggested that it's now illegal to criticize him in the media. I think that he suggested a threat to the Second Amendment when he told his Department of Justice to try to find any way to ban any and all gun ownership for all law-abiding trans-American citizens. The NRA agreed with me, by the way. I think that he's infringed on the Fourth Amendment when he gave an order to ICE to arrest people without any judicial warrants. That is blatantly illegal. Courts have ordered and ruled as such. Same thing with his illegal deportation of like 300 Venezuelan immigrants to Secot in El Salvador with no due process. Judge ruled that was illegal. Donald Trump said, I don't care. I think that he's infringed on the 10th Amendment via illegally deploying the National Guard in Illinois. SCOTUS actually gave their opinion on the subject matter. They said it was unconstitutional. He's definitely infringed on the 14th Amendment. He did that day one with Executive Order number 14160, where he tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil. They've had that since 1868 with the ratification of the 14th. He can't do that. Same thing with the 22nd Amendment. He's just kind of served a threat to that via the resuggestion that he wants to run for a third term. Then we look at Article 1 of the Constitution. He's infringed on Article 1 and 2. He's infringed on the Articles of the Constitution via the suggestion that if Congress doesn't pass voter ID laws, he'll just do it on its own. He can't assume the power of Congress. That's illegal. Then same thing with like nationalizing the midterm elections. That's also illegal. The Constitution gives that ability to the states. And this is just kind of scratching the surface, but clearly I don't want to overwhelm you with too much information. I know that you don't really know too much about the law or the Constitution, so let's start there.
Okay. Jesus, go back to the first one.
So you just want me to pick something? Okay, I'll just
Do just first three, just go so I can like remember what you're even saying.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just pick an example because that was a lot. A really good example of him infringing on the Constitution, positioning himself above it, and kind of telling me that he wants to be an authoritarian, would be his infringement on the 14th Amendment, where he tried to take birthright citizenship away from the children born to undocumented immigrants on American soil, even though the 14th Amendment gives them that right.
Okay, and I just don't agree with that. I don't agree. First of all, them getting citizenship, I don't think that it should be like that. I see there's way too much going on. You have illegals coming here, they're having kids, and then they're getting citizenship. We have an overwhelming amount of like, Jesus, you can call them baby-making houses in Orange County, where it's literally just a bunch of Chinese women in a house, and they're just pregnant, and they're giving citizenship to their kids. So, I don't know. I don't personally, I don't think that should be legal. I don't think we should be giving that to them. Of course, Democrats are not going to agree with that. I just think it's interesting, though, because, first of all, I know when he's talking about the third term, he's joking. And I know it's like, you're like, he's president, he can't joke like that. That's fine. Not even going to get into that. I would say, what about the Biden administration, pressuring like Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook and all this stuff to either like suppress information, taking Trump down from Twitter and all these things? Like, would you say that that was too far, or do you think that's justified?
So I don't mind talking about the Biden-Harris administration with you and having a conversation about potential executive overreach there. I just want to ensure productive linear conversation, which would include going point by point. But I hope that we have enough time to go over that, because I'd love to before the clock ends. Now, to respond to your first comments about the 14th Amendment, I don't expect you to think that the children born to undocumented immigrants should be birthright citizens, okay? Emily, you're a crazy radical conservative. Look back at the debate that we've had. It would be a needle in a haystack, and such a surprise for you to tell me otherwise, that you do think they should have birthright citizenship. And I hear this from every conservative ever. When I make this point about him infringing on the 14th Amendment, the first response is always, well, I don't think the children born to them should have birthright citizenship. But that's not what matters here. What matters here is, regardless of what you think, Donald Trump positioned himself above the Constitution, regardless of what you think about the 14th Amendment, Donald Trump attempted to terminate it as it stands with an executive order. Regardless of what you think, that is dictatorial. That is authoritarian. Checks and balances matter. The Constitution matters. Congress matters. The Supreme Court matters. No one person should have the ability to completely change the laws as they've existed since 1868 with one signature on one piece of paper. And that's what I want you to respond to.
No, that's fair. If you want to go, I'm giving an opinion. I don't think they should have citizenship, and I think that he should go about it legally. If he doesn't like it, I think he should legally go about it and, attempt to put forth in front of the American people to change it. But I don't think he should just go and do whatever he wants, because when every administration does usually whatever they want. They do a lot of things that I think are overreach and illegal, and they should all be held to the same standard. It's not, I'm sure Trump overreaches, Biden overreach, they've all overreached. So it's just like, I agree. He should go about it the legal way. I think we should have some order in the country for once.
Okay, so it actually seems like you might agree with my claim that he wants to be a dictator.